While 10 New York City police officers committed suicide this year, the city has a new initiative announced Thursday to address the problem. Nate Rogers spoke to the sister of one of those officers.
Bob, Eileen Echeverria says she reached out to the NYPD 6 times about her brother's severe mental illness. She says they investigated, took his guns away, and then gave them back.
This was 100% preventable. I begged them, I drove there, I wrote them, I called them.
56-year-old Robert Echeverria killed himself inside his Loughlin, Queens home August 14th. Since then, his sister Eileen has spoken to nearly 100 NYPD officers and families who say the major problem is within the department.
You can't push a loyal officer so far that they no longer care. You can't tell them that they can't have a day off because they didn't, do A, B, or C.
A partnership with New York Presbyterian Hospital called Finest Care will provide free mental health services to NYPD officers. Police can call a 24-hour hotline and schedule an appointment with a mental health professional. Leaders say the calls will be kept confidential.
It has been set up so that no one at the NYPD will know that an appointment has been made or that you've sought service.
Now, Echeverria isn't sold on the plan. She says officers still fear retaliation through any department-connected service.
They're going to be afraid that no matter what they say, it's going to get back. They're going to deem them unstable. And then they're going to lose all their overtime, either forced to retire, pushed out, or whatever.
Echeverria also says the department must be more proactive and not wait for officers to come to them. Most importantly, officers should know there is help available. More information about the hotline is on my Twitter page at Nate Wants to Know. In New York, I'm Nate Rogers for Chasing News.
More than 20 years in the making, the American Dream Mall and Entertainment Complex in New Jersey Meadowlands is set to open, at least part of it, on Friday. The mall was conceived in 1996 when the internet was just a baby and the iPhone was hardly a twinkle in Steve Jobs' eye. Tickets to the Nickelodeon Universe theme park inside are sold out for the entire weekend. Visitors can still rent skates and take a spin around the new ice rink. The retail section of the mall is scheduled to open in spring. There have been criticism, notably about parking, which will be free for visits under 30 minutes, but could cost you as much as $24 or maybe even $40 if you visit while there is an event at the nearby MetLife Stadium. Let's bring back tonight's panel, Ronica Cleary and Bill Caruso. I don't know, Ronica. People could be thinking that this property is cursed if you look at the history all the way back from Xanadu to where we are right now. And I'm going to ask you, will this be a nightmare logistically where it's located? I travel into the city. What are we going to do with regard to that with all these parking spaces, tens of thousands of people potentially there? Is this a logistical nightmare, Ronica?
It is a logistical nightmare. I don't know how they didn't think through that detail. People who live in that part of the state deal with traffic and chaos all of the time, and now you are creating a new scenario for them that you think they're going to voluntarily participate in. I think people will choose to go somewhere else or stay at home and shop online.
Okay, Bill, so listen, we've been looking at all the advertising, have Nickelodeon there, they're gonna have all sorts of like water sports and all sorts of great stuff, great stuff. I haven't really even looked into it myself personally about what's going to be there because I just don't want to go through the traffic. But what are your family and friends saying about it?
Bob, listen, with all respect to you and your family, you're in a different stage where my family is, okay? I grew up in that area. I'm a Bergen County boy born and raised. And, for my family and my family now, I've got 3 boys under the age of 13. We could go there, we could shop. There are going to be birthday parties that are going to be held there. I actually see this as an opportunity to get families to interact with one another rather than, kids in the basement playing on YouTube watching videos and stuff. Get together and do something together.
Well, guys, excellent discussion. I don't know what to tell you, but I know it's been a long time in the making. There's already problems. Hopefully these will be the last of a very long and tortured history with regard to this project. Thank you. Thanks, Monica. The officer who was fired in connection with the 2014 death of Eric Garner is suing the NYPD to be reinstated. Daniel Pantaleo's lawyer, Stuart London, told the New York Post the lawsuit was filed Wednesday and argued that his client's termination following an administrative trial was arbitrary. Police Commissioner James O'Neill was also mentioned in the lawsuit. He fired Pantaleo in August for using a banned chokehold on Garner, saying he had broken department rules. After Eric Gardner's death, all 36,000 NYPD officers were required to undergo 3 days of training, including classes focused on de-escalation. The officers were also trained on recognizing bias and relying on facts instead of racial stereotypes. Joining us now on our A+ panel is Ronica Cleary, a communication strategist, and Bill Caruso, a Democratic strategist. Ronica, I want to start with you with this. The NYPD officers are extremely upset about the way Pantaleo has been treated, many arguing this was in fact not an illegal chokehold. What are your thoughts about this lawsuit to reinstate the officer to the police department?
I think that it's important that the officer is allowed to pursue whatever legal rights that he has. And the police officers that are in his unit or in the city of New York want to support him and his efforts to be reinstated. I don't think that necessarily means that they are opposed to police officer behavior that might be inappropriate.
But I believe there's a reason why all of these police officers are outraged. Listen, police work is not easy. They have to make arrests. This is not the first case where somebody dies as a result of a medical event.
No, and it isn't, Bob, but there are some good things that have come out of this horrible tragedy. You said that there's been more training that's been required of police officers for de-escalation. But I also do see that there were some issues here with how this was done. And there's no problem in questioning that from the standpoint of citizens and the police.
Do lawsuits and things like this stop officers from taking effective action to protect the community because they don't want to be the next Pantaleo? Ronica?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a statistic out that shows there were fewer arrests in the same time period from this time last year.
Many arguing it affects the minority community more than any others. Bill?
No, I think good cops can be good cops, and bad cops that, frankly, if there are bad cops, should be dealt with.
I don't think anybody disagrees that we should make sure that bad cops are taken off the force, but I think there's a reason why the NYPD officers have rallied around Pantaleo. Thank you, guys. A mother shot to death at home while her children were with her. Our Monica Guy speaks to neighbors from Staten Island.
A heavy police presence throughout the day in the Mariners Harbor neighborhood as NYPD detectives investigate the fatal shooting of 38-year-old Nakia Webster. This is Citizens app video of the officers responding to the scene around 1 Thursday morning. Webster's teenage son and stepson were in another room when she was shot in the head. One of them called 911. Cops are searching for Webster's husband. They say he was home when the shooting happened and hasn't been seen since. Police sources say it appears the killing was the result of domestic violence. Gilbert Pachenko owns the laundromat across the street and was acquainted with the family.
Nobody, nobody deserves that. He could have just left the house. He didn't have to. He's hanging out with my friend. He said that my friend said he was a cool person. They used to talk here and there. But even he was surprised. He was a calm guy. I didn't know, what happens behind closed doors is different. But what happens outside, he was a quiet person. He never had a gun. I never seen him or anything. All I seen him just with shorts and hands, walking with his kids, and that's it.
Residents say the family lived in the home for about 7 years and were good neighbors, making the death that much more shocking.
It's crazy, Sorry for the family, though.
I don't know. These things happen every day. It's sad, but it happens every day.
October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. For information and resources in New York, call 1-800-942-6906. If you're in New Jersey, you can call 1-800-572-SAFE. Reporting from Staten Island for Chasing News, I'm Monica Guy.
Welcome back to Chasing News. I'm Bob Bianchi in for Bill Spadea. Baking season is in full swing. And if you're wondering why you crave cookies, well, there might be a scientific reason for that. At least where chocolate chip cookies are concerned, researchers saying they may be as addictive as drugs. The recent study from the University of Bordeaux, France, suggests the ingredients in the chocolatey treats trigger the same response in your brain as cocaine. Apparently, it's the high sugar and fat content that can spark cravings similar to those induced by the addictive drug. And if you like your dessert with a dash of salt, you're even more likely to eat your fair share. Studies show sodium lights up the emotional part of the brain and can make the warm baked goods more irresistible. I just have to bring my A-plus panel in on this one. Bill Caruso, let me start with you, because being Paisan, well, all sorts of food is attractive. What's next? Pasta fazool, spaghetti and meatballs. Is there any legitimacy to this, or are we just going crazy with these kind of studies?
Who knows, Bob? I can say this to you, it gives new meaning to the term getting baked, but I think that from this standpoint, we do know that sugar has highly addictive properties. This makes some sense. Maybe the FDA and all our state regulators that are running around the country that want to ban all sorts of different substances need to start looking at chocolate chip cookies next. So.
You know, Veronica, I knew he was going to go there. I mean, we eat food that we like. Sometimes it's because we put a little fat and sometimes whatever. Are we now going to have the food police telling us we can no longer have chocolate chip cookies because they're dangerous for your health? Is Bill de Blasio going to ban chocolate chip cookies next?
Gosh, you know what? I don't think I'd put it past him. I can't really speak to the addictive qualities of cocaine, so I can only contribute to this conversation having had my fair share of chocolate chip cookies. They are pretty good, but you know, I think this study was searching for a headline. We all know how good food can be, and to suggest that it's the same level of addictiveness also suggests it's the same level of dangerousness.
Great job, my A-plus panel. I'm glad I get to fill in for Bill on a Thursday, because that means I get to speak to celebrity insider Deanna Williams. Deanna, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bob. Good to see you.
We got a lot of ground to cover with the craziness here, but let's start with Loughlin. What's happening? I hear a lot of her friends are talking about what's going on behind the scenes. As a lawyer, I'm dying to hear it.
Well, they say she's nervous because Tuesday, new charges were levied against she and her husband. And these are serious charges, as you can well explain further to us, Bob. But you can recall that they pleaded not guilty, and they feel like she's saying to the public and press, she feels like a scapegoat. But they seem to be overlooking the fact that they paid $500,000 to get their two daughters into USC. She has a right to feel nervous.
You know, Deanna, the thing that amazes me is that she also used these court opportunities as a publicity stunt, which any lawyer or publicist knows is a bad thing, signing autographs. Us in the background have been saying, is this a client problem or a lawyer problem? Starting to sound like it's a bit of a client problem, Deanna. What do you think?
No, I would agree with you. But in the case with Felicity Huffman, she was smart to plead guilty as quickly as she did. And 14 days, I thought it was going to be a bigger sentence. But for Lori Loughlin and her husband, boy, I think they're going to get it.
Okay, Deanna, we're a week away from Halloween, and creepy story writer Stephen King is doing a documentary series, a mini-series, if you will, in New Jersey. One, what is it about? And two, was Jersey picked because it has some sort of macabre, weird, and twisted history?
I never knew that, Bob. Well, this is a mini-series for Apple TV, and it's based on one of Stephen King's favorite books. It's called Lissy's Story, and they started shooting in Somerset, New Jersey yesterday. The filming continues until tomorrow. It's being shot in a historic old mansion that looks a little creepy to me, Bob. But I think it's great for New Jersey because all it does is it brings more money into the economy. It affords actors an opportunity to be gainfully employed, puts a spotlight on our community.
Absolutely. But speaking of creepy, I got to get into one last story, Deanna. What is going on with Dennis Quaid? What's happening?
Well, Dennis Quaid is madly in love and newly engaged. He is the 65-year-old Parent Trap actor, and his new fiancée is a 26 years young PhD student.
You know what I got to say, Deanna? If you're a consenting adult, wherever you can find love is just fine with me. So amen to him and to her. We wish him the best. Deanna, thank you so much as always. You are the best.
Bob, great to see you.
You got it.